I love you, Pumpkin.
I love you, honey bunny.
Everybody be cool, this is a robbery!
Any of you fucking pricks move! And I'll execute every motherfucking last one of you!
Hello everyone, this is Shadow Radio. Shadow Radio show number 6. Thanks for joining us today. We have some great content for you today. We have some user submissions and some awesome prank calls, I think. So we're going to start out today with just some of the news and some computer jokes. You know, the top 10 laws of computing. It's interesting. I was just reading this. If you've reached the point where you really understand your computer, it's probably obsolete. That's number 1. Number 2, when you're computing, if someone is watching, whatever happens, behave as though you meant it to happen. That's number 2. Number 3 is when the going gets tough, upgrade your computer. Number 4, the first place to look for information is in the section of the manual where you least expect to find it. Number 5 is, for every action there's an equal and opposite malfunction. To err is human. To blame your computer for your mistakes is even more human. It's downright natural, and that's number 6. And number 7, he who laughs last probably has a backup. And number 8, the number 1 cause of computer problems is computer solutions. Okay, and number 9, a complex system that doesn't work is invariably found to have evolved from a simpler system that worked just fine. I think that's kind of true. And number 10 of the 10 laws of computing, a computer program will always do what you tell it to do, but rarely do what you want it to do. So those are the top 10 laws. I don't know where I got that from, but it was just something interesting to talk about here. And I have some other laws of computing here too. Let's do 10 more. Here we have number 1. The more acronyms on a page, the harder the topic is to understand. Number 2 is, inside every program is a small module struggling to find a life of its own. Developers get their programs working perfectly on their machines, but they forget that the potential customers may have a very different computer environment. So that's true. That's true. Computer project teams avoid monthly progress reports because it demonstrates their lack of progress. Number 5, program complexity grows until it exceeds the abilities of the programmer who must maintain it. That's true. You will never solve any computer problem if you are in a bad mood. Well, I don't know. And number 7 is, when troubleshooting computer problems, people always assume that the problem is the most obscure combination possible, whereas in reality, the fault is invariably the simplest fault. That usually happens. Every computer program expands to fill all the available memory. And number 9, if a computer supplier says a part is interchangeable, for example, tape drives, they lie. And number 10, remember that your computer makes as many mistakes in 2 picoseconds as 50 men working for a years. So that's those are the 2 top 10 computer questions, but top 10 laws. So why don't we go ahead and move on to the news, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the hacker news here today. Google versus Microsoft. Google reveals a third unpatched 0-day vulnerability in Windows. That's not something new. I'm not surprised on that. You know, Microsoft has heavily criticized Google and its 90-day security disclosure policy after the firm publicly revealed the 2 0-day vulnerabilities in Microsoft 8.1 operating system. So, just days before Microsoft planned to issue the patch. So I think it's kind of funny that Google exposes them just before Microsoft is ready to issue the patch. So that makes me laugh. By the way, the next story is Microsoft ends Windows 7 mainstream support. So on January 13, 2015, Microsoft's mainstream support for Windows 7 Service Pack 1 ended. which means that the end of the free Windows 7 mainstream support while the operating system now entering the extended support phase. So if you have Windows 7, looks like you're out of luck again. They're trying to get you to buy another operating system, of course. And the next story here we have is there's some new ransomware. And we did discuss ransomware one time on the other show. I believe on the first show we discussed ransomware. But now new käⱧWHO ransomware communicates over I2P anonymous network. So now we have ransomware that's encrypted, and it's communicating over encrypted channels and very hard to remove. So they get very, very difficult. So if you check on the Hacker News, you'll see all these stories, and I would hope that you would read the one that has to do with crypto BitLocker, because this one's kind of funny. The next story here is the end-to-end encrypted secure messenger and file sharing app. Well, we've seen this before. Let me just read a little bit of the story. On the end where governments of countries like the UK is criticizing end-to-end encryption and considering to ban the encrypted communication apps like Snapchat, CryptoCat, and the other ones. On the other hand, the internet community has come up with a new, rather more secure encrypted communications app dubbed käⱧWHO as an encrypted productivity suite designed to offer much more usable alternative to PGP, email, and file encryption, so that every individual user and business can encrypt everything from the instant messages to online storage. So that's a good thing. I've always pushed for encryption. I don't know why you should have to move off of PGP. Or GPG is pretty good. I don't know why they should have to move off. CryptoCat's pretty good. Anyway, let's move on to the next story. So we're going to look at Instagram patches a flaw that makes private photos available. So apparently Instagram had a flaw that all of your private photos were made available. Don't put anything on the web that you don't want on there. You always have to assume that it can be gotten or somebody can find it. So let's move over. If you got a smartphone with Android 4.3 or earlier, no WebView vulnerability patch for you. So you're not going to get that patch if you have Android 4.3 or earlier. So there's a WebView vulnerability that exists in Android Jelly Bean 4.3. So you're not going to be able to get that patch. So I'm not going to do that. So better get that stuff upgraded. Just a note for everybody. And then finally here, Google discloses another unpatched Windows 8.1 vulnerability. So I guess that was two. So that was two. It's the second one less than the month that Google research team known as Project Zero, Google Project Zero. So that's interesting. You know. We're going to do the dumb laws. I think we did the dumb laws last time, so why don't we take the two new states this time and do some dumb laws in some new states. I think everybody got a kick out of that the last time when we did dumb laws. So here we go with dumb laws. We're going to start out with Arkansas. I believe we did the other two or three last time, Alabama, Alaska, and Arizona. So we moved down to, and apparently in Arkansas, a man can legally beat his wife, but not more than once a month. Unbelievable. Oral sex is considered sodomy in Arkansas, and alligators may not be kept in the bathtub. Alright, so that's Arkansas. So let's look at California and check out what's going on there. California prison workers will no longer be allowed to have sex with inmates. Apparently, before this law, a bunch of California prison workers were having sex with inmates. Interesting. Film producers must have permission from a pediatrician before filming a child under the age of 1 month. Okay, this is California. It's unlawful to let a dog pursue a bear or bobcat at any time. In San Jose and Sunnyvale, it is illegal for grocery stores to provide plastic bags. I don't know why that is. You may only throw a frisbee at the beach in Los Angeles County with the lifeguard's permission. Animals are banned from mating publicly within 1,500 feet of a tavern, school, or place of worship. Bathhouses are against the law. Sunshine is guaranteed to the masses. It's a misdemeanor to shoot at any kind of game from a moving vehicle unless the target is a whale. So apparently you can shoot whales if you're moving from a car. Women may not drive in a house coat. Are you kidding me? So that's a California law. Women may not drive in a house coat. And finally, no vehicle without a driver may exceed 60 miles per hour. So apparently they have a rash of driverless vehicles in California. So we're going to take a call now. This is one of the first calls from Shadow Radio, so this should be interesting. So let's see.
Hi, thanks for calling in to Shadow Radio. Who's this?
Hi, this is käⱧဍIV.
How are you doing, buddy? How are you for you
doing
today?
all right. So I have a couple of questions. I'm kind of a noob to the whole internet security. I've dabbled in some of it, but I had some questions and, just curious as to some input as to your thoughts on some questions that I have. One of the thoughts I had was, what's your thoughts on open source SIEM or IDS, NSM type applications or devices?
So when you say IDS, you're referring to intrusion detection systems, am I correct?
Yes, like Security Onion, which has, a bunch. It has Snort, it has
absolutely.
Exactly. So I was just curious as to what your thought is to that as an enterprise solution for someone that's getting into the industry.
Well, I know for a fact that our own U.S. government does use Snort and some other packages and whatnot, but Snort for an IDS is one of the best systems that I can think of that is open source. It takes a little bit to get set up because you not only have to know some networking, you also have to know where to place the system. You also have to know you have to have multiple network cards in your server there that's going to manage and catch all those connections, and then you have, of course, the Snort application itself, which you're going to need a front end for. Okay, so Snort by itself does what it does, but you also need a front end to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Snort is more of the capture piece of it, and is very deep, but there's no real easy out of the box front end UI that if I was I wanted to get in and just out of the box be able to look at it and see on the wire traffic or if I was using Kismet or Wi-Fi see what's over the air so is there a solution that you would recommend? I mean, Snort being it's been tested, it's been out since I was a kid. Is there a solution out there that sort of embodies both the capture diagnostic analysis piece of it as well as sort of the front end UI piece that you know of?
Well, if you're looking at something that you want to encapsulate everything, then you're probably going to want to look at some enterprise paid solution. Okay, you can accomplish the same thing You can accomplish the same thing with an enterprise solution that you can with Snort. Okay. It just simply takes a little bit of learning how to set it up and get it done. Now, you can have multiple clusters of Snort running and doing all things, but the most important things about Snort are the sensors. Okay, the sensor packages that come with it. Okay, that's the most absolute important thing because they do have a paid pack and a subscription service, which, by the way, I do support, and I would pay for a service like that because anything that you can think of on the Internet that somebody tries to penetrate your server or send some crafted packets, Snort has a sensor for it. Okay, now it will take some tuning. It will take some tuning in order to get to things because you'll have a lot of false positives when you initially start up the Snort system.
Right. So is it a an identity or an algorithm that it looks at and says based on these activities, or is it event based? Does it do
without you looking at an actual Snort sensor? It will be very difficult for me to tell you. I mean, it uses the internals of the system, but what I suggest that you do is go online and look at some of the sensors because you can program your own sensors and write your own sensors. You're basically disseminating packets. I mean, Snort itself does just disseminate packets and do some, really in-depth packet stuff. some packet dissection, and that's one of my favorite things to do too. So when you get into that, that's what you're going to find. Okay, I mean, the most basic snort sensor is, a ping or an ICMP, and you can see that online when you see how that they're written, but you can get 10 times more in depth, and it becomes a point where it's no longer relevant for you to try to write them, but just allow the people who do that for a living to write them and just download them.
Do you have a preference as far as conferences go, from AppSec, DEF CON, Usenix, CES, anything that you would recommend from an information security piece? I mean, we all know that, the world evolves in actually like two hemispheres. We have the IT realm of information security, but we also have the consumer end of IT security that's sort of, it's always been that gray area of information security, which never really bred over into the full business unit, but people still, go to Geek Squad or whatever to have their systems diagnosed.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I don't know if you remember a long time ago, Geek Squad kind of had their head smashed a little bit. They did an investigative reporting on them one time when they.
I remember that about them.
Simply had they just had a disconnected hard drive cable, and they charged, tried to charge a customer $80 to, you need a new motherboard. You know what I mean? You got to watch out for that kind of stuff, and the best way to do that is to get educated yourself. But
do you recommend any, as far as like InfoSec conferences to go to, like out of the box, just like, oh yeah,
DEF CON. I would definitely say DEF CON. DEF CON is one of the best security conferences in the world. Okay. If you're in the United States, DEF CON.
Have you heard of, in the United States, have you heard of 31C3, CCC, the Chaos Congress conference?
Yes, I've heard of that. I think that's overseas, but I did.
Yeah, it takes place in right. Yeah, so like DEF CON is definitely like on the top of like one of my bucket lists to go to. Are there any other ones like that you would say like, oh, these are must attend InfoSec, where information is just traded, left and right, and your experience will just grow infinitely?
Well, those are the best. I mean, the ones that you mentioned are the best. I mean, not everyone has the ability to get to those. You know what I mean?
Of course. Traveling to Germany is a little
coverage.
bit rough.
Right. I would love to go to Germany and go to some of them conferences over there. German engineers are some of the smartest engineers on the planet, especially when it comes to computer, along with Russia. It's sad to say, but Russians are very good with Linux. Russians are very good with finding exploits. So I would love to be able to go to a conference in some of these other countries, but unfortunately, a lot of them are underground. And I will tell you this, the ones that are above ground, that are, publicly covered, things like that, like DEF CON, that stuff. Those are good, but you're never ever going to find anything that's going to be as in depth as an underground conference with a group of maybe 100 people or 200 people. Those are the people that sit down on the computer almost 24 hours a day. They eat, sleep, and breathe computers. That's like myself. That's what I do. So, people ask me on the community all the time, do I ever sleep? Well, sometimes. It depends on what project I'm working. But the best thing that you can do is get into a group like you are now, find some like-minded people, and then just hang out for a while. You're never going to get into a conference or an underground conference by just coming in and being there for a couple months. You have to get to know the people. People are very paranoid when it comes to that kind of thing. So you have to put in the time. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They want, well, I want to know this or I want to know that. But I don't want to put in the time that everyone else has, and that's what real hackers do. They despise people who come on and just say, "Well, can you tell me this, or can you tell me that, or can you do this, or can you do that for me?" Because we put in the time for years to do this.
So that's kind of like a perfect segue into what are some of the do's and don'ts when you go to these functions. Like when you go to DEF CON, what are like some things like fresh off the charter bus, and I'm at DEF CON. Do you take a burner phone with you? Do you take a burner system with you? I mean, do you just allow yourself to just get violated? From a technology standpoint, to learn what has happened, sort of like a portable honeypot.
Well, that's pretty much what I do. I take a laptop that's a portable honeypot, and I have simple passwords set on there, and that's how I capture a lot of attacks, because a lot of these people who develop these exploits just simply don't tell them. That's like me. When I find exploits, I don't post them. I don't sell them. I don't do that. That's for me. And it's a reward to me to find an exploit, especially a 0-day. And then see all these other people selling them. And you're like, well, I got mine, so I'm not. I don't need to worry about that. I'm going to keep this for me. It's not like you ever use it.
Right. I think that's where that whole, pay for play type of environment has sort of developed in the black hat environment. We're going to pay you for passwords. We're going to pay you for, Social Security or credit card information, and it's sort of, created that black market where, if you truly had a 0-day, or if you had any exploits as a true magician or a hacker, you really don't ever want to show your hand, because once you show your hand, then everybody's like, well, okay, I can understand that, and then sort of that magic or the mysticism.
Let me tell you one of the best kept secrets of white hats like myself. Okay, you have to learn to speak the language. Okay, and what that means is to infiltrate the black hat and the gray hat community, which I have a great ability to do that. So you have to learn to speak, and you have to learn the sociology, and you have to understand how they think in order to be accepted. So that's one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you.
That's
don't
awesome.
break any laws. Don't break any laws. But you have to belong. You have to put in the time, and it takes time to do that, especially when you're infiltrating a black hat community. They're some of the most paranoid people in the world.
And that's great, because like you were saying, is putting in the time. A lot of time, what I've seen in my short time on this planet is there's a lot of instant. Well, what do you do to do this? Versus learning the skills and how to enumerate or how to social engineer. And then that creates a base for your script kiddies that just want to run like
LOIC, they just want to run DDoS programs, the LOIC things.
Yeah,
like that.
They want to run LOIC
or
or
things like that.
Yeah, exactly. A whole bunch of zombie stuff that it was established through many weeks, days, hours of
years.
Research and years. Absolutely. Because, as you've seen, I'm sure you've seen in the recent advertisement for Black Hat, apparently now you can establish thermonuclear warfare, from being a Black Hat hacker. And, there's always been this sort of Hollywood hype that, overnight I could push a button and cause, several countries to disappear off a map.
The interesting part about that is it's been available for some time. Those capabilities have been available to computer programs and everything for such time. Okay, but now with the advent of technology and sharing of information, and a lot of people wanting to get to learn, they're actually learning what's out there, and that's a big threat to countries.
Absolutely.
Because you actually can't do that.
But I think also part of that comes with the whole security piece of it. The more that you educate a certain cross segment, pardon the background ambient noise, but the more you educate those people, the better your security becomes, versus hoarding that information and saying, well, I live in a White Castle, this is my kingdom. And
well, see, I'm a proponent of both hoarding information and teaching, but because I want those people to learn that information on their own. Okay, for me to give it to them, or for me to give, I provide such an extensive selection of resources on the community that there's no reason why anybody coming there shouldn't be able to learn everything that I know. But again, it comes back to the time factor. You have to put it.
So, have you heard of crackers and hackers using military tactics and adapting that to hacking, such as island hopping and some other, where they've taken military tactics and sort of reworked them into the hacking, recon, information gathering, penetration.
I don't want to
say
that's a scary question to ask, so I can't answer it. I'm not going to answer it in the full way that I would if we were talking under encrypted communication. What I will tell you is that the information is available to those who know how to get it. Okay, and when they do get it, it's very probable that it could be adapted to be used for black hat or whatever. So
right.
the
Absolutely.
easy answer is yes.
And it's not in the sense of is that I think as a society we need to look at, whether we look at military tactics that are prevalent, we look at all over the news, we see IEDs. I mean, how soon or how relevant in the near future are we going to see IEDs in the electronic espionage / hacking environment where we're developing programs that are IEDs that sort of, help destabilize aggressive encounters versus defensive encounters.
Well, see, that makes me think of a speech given by somebody who I'm not very fond of, but there are known knowns, there are known unknowns, and then there are unknown unknowns. Okay, so I think that anyone who follows politics should know where those few comments came from, okay, during the Bush administration. So anyone who knows that, and that's true for the most part, and that man is a really great orator. So, I'm not very fond of that, but he's a great orator, and that is the truth. So we can never really prepare for X factor. We just don't know. Okay? And the way that most governments work, the people who are the best at what they do, the hackers and the black hats, they're viewed as criminals. Okay?
Absolutely.
They need to harness that information. They need to harness those people, give them the ability to teach instead of labeling them as criminals and doing it. Because, if you're a black hat and you're, your own country saying, well, we don't want anything to do with you, well, what are you going to do? You're going to commit crimes.
Well, yeah, technically, absolutely, because technically you've already been labeled that because your quest for information. And I'm a child of the 80s and a child of the 70s, to give you a little social information on me. So I understand, being able to grab that information and synthesize it and grow with it. So, to be able to, countries have sort of written laws, sort of knee-jerk reaction, and not truly understanding, what does it mean? We label black hats as anybody that quests for information, maybe outside the guise of normal.
Well, for a criminal purpose. I mean, we get labeled all the time.
There's criminal enterprise, absolutely. I think, but we also have laws that have existed on the books that should. I mean, you can never
as time change, they have to be revamped. I agree with you on that one.
So,
we have 1980 laws that still apply today to things that weren't even available in the 1980s.
I think we have 1890 laws that still apply today.
Well, that's true. If you listen to the last radio show, I was going through some.
Absolutely. When I was listening to Alabama and Alaska and not being able to wear a fake mustache in church. I mean, that's
ridiculous. This kind of nonsense. It comes down to when you look at the social structure of societies, it's one of two things happening. One, it's a source of revenue, so they really don't care to change it. Or two, they're so busy that they haven't had time to change it, or the political structure doesn't really know about it, or it's not really a problem. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of laws today, as opposed to a long time ago, are written for revenue purposes. You know what I mean? Now, the seatbelt law, for instance. I believe when I get into a vehicle, I should be able to choose whether or not I wear a seatbelt or whether I don't. This is my life. Okay? And I shouldn't be fined if I choose not to. Okay?
It is a victimless crime. Absolutely.
I mean, when you study law too, I mean, I really enjoy studying law, especially old law. 1798. Laws back.
Well, Black's Law Dictionary says that a crime has to have two bodies. It has to have a victim and it has to have corpus delicti. So you have to have a impacted party to have a crime. You have to have mens rea. I mean, when you're talking about a crime, you have to have mens rea. And for those of you who don't understand the Latin terminology when it comes to law, mens rea means guilty mind. That means you have to, it's very difficult too for a judge or a court to decide whether or not you have a guilty mind unless they're mind readers. However, we're a society of probabilities. So is it probable based on the evidence that the person's mens rea is absolute? You can never really know. Right,
So
which
it's very
is where
difficult.
the whole evidence, the body of evidence comes into play, and they could do within reasonable suspicion that, okay, XYZ. Not to diverge too much off into the criminal aspect. So I only have really two more questions for you, and they're really just off the cuff questions. Brute force or passive attacks?
Mm-hmm. Okay, say that again.
Brute force or passive attacks?
Brute force. Well,
or passive attacks.
Well, first of all, you have to define your attack vector. If you're talking about brute force or whatever, okay, well, what attack vector are we talking about? First of all, we have to define the application or process or what we're trying to do. Everything depends on everything else. So you can't say brute force because it could mean, well, hey, I'm breaking a hash. And if you're talking about passive, if you're talking about passive scanning, that's not going to apply because you have a solid, file with a hash in it. So, passive wouldn't apply. So what exactly are we talking about here?
Okay, no, that's again. This is my first time ever calling a radio show, so I'm always synthesizing new data. So, and then the other question I have is live CDs or local installs?
Live CDs or local installs? Well, that again depends on what you're going to do. Live CDs are primarily made for taking out a laptop or taking out something somewhere and doing some recon without any kind of history or tracking systems, because you obviously, when you're running a live CD, and CD, I say, not a thumb drive. I think the safest way, to cover any tracks is to run a live CD, because you can't, of course, write to the CD while you're doing it. You understand.
Right.
The only thing that you use is a computer's memory. But when you talk about a thumb drive, there may be some applications that are designed for thumb drives and that in order to store information that you don't know about. And I see a lot of people. And that brings me back, because I could get into a conversation for an hour, about people using Metasploit. I've done a security. I don't know how I want to say it. I've ran around a system where I could see that things that were going other places shouldn't be going other places. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So you have a lot of people who are not very aware, who are not very good at the internals of things, running an application such as a script kiddie, such as Metasploit, that you could type in a couple things, a host, a port, and all of a sudden you're exploiting, and then they call that hacking. That's simply ludicrous. Okay. The primary goal, and the people from Metasploit are going to hate me for saying this because I know them and they're going to hate me. But the primary goal for Metasploit is to capture those people, to capture those script kiddies, to get information on those script kiddies in order to, when you have a developer that can develop something, or a group of people that can develop something like Metasploit, you're not going to put a zero backdoor schema into it. It's just not going to happen. It's a hacking program developed by hackers, and what do hackers do? They hack things.
Right.
So if you're going to go download Metasploit, run it on a virtual machine, don't run it on your main machine, and use a VPN and some proxy and some Tor and some tunneling, some SSH.
Right. So create an onion piece of it, so where the peeling back the layers will still not get you anywhere other than to another layer.
Exactly. But the point is if you're going to do what you're going to do, the best thing to do is when you do that. Use Metasploit, things like that. Use some kind of, public Wi-Fi. Of course they're tracked, but you're going to encrypt everything anyway. It's really going to be irrelevant. So, it is what it is.
One last question. What, if you had to pick a top book off of your head for information security, information recon, black hat, gray hat, white hat, what would you, if you were to tell people, a book, if you want to infinitely learn the realm of security, computers, this is a book I recommend. If you have any insight or inkling in reading, this is a book I recommend.
Oh, that's an easy question, and there's thousands of books, but assembly. If you're going to learn how to do these things, learn assembly. It's as simple as that. Learn assembly and shellcode, okay? It's very simple. Now, recently I posted some shell code on the community that simply shows you how to backdoor Netcat, or not Netcat. I think it was Netcat, if I'm not mistaken. Creating a program and backdooring a shell code with Netcat. So you could have a program, any program, release it, and have a backdoor in there installed by Netcat using shellcode and very small code. Of course, it's illegal.
Do you remember seeing a post in regards to using something in reference to Netcat? I cannot confirm nor deny.
I think it was I have a book in there, the Netcat Power Tools. Okay, but I did post some shellcode on there, and I can look that up on the community real quick here. You know, while we're on the phone call, which I think would be good because I do want to give people the definitive answer rather than
absolutely.
The first one I have on the shellcode there, that's the x64 Linux bind TCP port shellcode, and that's 262 lines. That was released on December 19th, and that was tested on Kali. So a lot of people are starting to use Kali Linux now, but I can backdoor it with a simple shellcode that's 81 bytes, 96 with a password. Okay. And,
so you could run it off of pretty much any distribution. It doesn't have to be Kali, even though Kali has that natively installed.
Well, no. This is shellcode, so you have to understand there's a big difference between shellcode and having something installed. Okay. See, Netcat, it's used in combination with Netcat. I mean, this specific exploit, this specific shellcode is used with Kali. 1.09 GNU. That's 3.145, and that's x86, 64-bit. So you have to understand when you write shellcode, it has to be specifically for the kernel. There has to be things in there. So you can only test shellcode on specific machines. And this, of course, this is written in C. But you have your shellcode, and the greatest thing I can tell people is to learn how to, take the payload of shellcode and put it into assembly and back and forth. So you disassemble a program, or you take the shellcode and then put it back into assembly and vice versa. How to build shellcode and how to do it vice versa and reverse it. Those are two of the main things that anyone who's going to do this needs to learn. If you don't want to learn that, or you're going to, a lot of people say, well, I don't have time, then you shouldn't be here. If you're going to ever tell me that I don't have time to do A, B, and C, then I don't want to talk to you. That's the very right. And that may sound crass, but that's the fact of the matter. I didn't put in 14 years of doing this, so I could have all the secrets that I learned over that time and give them to you in a 30-second post. It isn't going to happen. I don't have a 16,000 book library that I share with everyone so they can learn this stuff for them to come back and say, okay, well, can you show me how to do this?
Right. Can you condense 20 years into 2
hours?
Exactly.
And that's where it comes to, when I used to design web pages and applications and Perl and Python applications, and I used to compile C code or C++ code into CGI applications back in the day, and this was in 2004, maybe it was 2003, but I used to compile C++ code for CGI to use on the web. Okay? A lot of people couldn't figure out how to exploit that.
Absolutely.
I found ways to get around those kinds of things, but now with the advent of PHP and the scripting language and everything, PHP is just bad. I love writing PHP, but it's just, if you look into the real
makes it a little easier. Right. It makes it a little bit easier, but if you were looking at a language, would you recommend for the security professional to invest more of their efforts in Python?
Absolutely. I would say, Perl and Python are the two primary languages that I would say that, along with assembly. So there's a timeline here. Learn assembly, or at least learn the both at the same time. Perl and Python are two of the main languages that I would definitely say. And if you're using Windows, don't even bother to ask me. I'm not saying you, but anyone else. This is for anyone else. If you're using Windows, it's not saying that you can't code Python or Perl in Windows, but I would say get yourself a copy of Linux. Okay.
But you could code in JavaScript for Windows based. I'm a firm believer. Know your enemy, and whether it's Linux or Windows, but know where you can exploit your pieces in JavaScript and Windows and maybe Python and Perl within the Unix.
I wouldn't go that way. I wouldn't go with any kind of Windows script host or anything like that. I wouldn't go with that because for me, I already know the DLL entry points for Windows. I have them memorized. When you get to the point where you're memorizing the hexadecimal memory entry points for DLLs in the Windows kernel, you're pretty much, it's unlimited. It's just a matter of testing on a virtual. I could send something to a Windows machine, and it's you memorize the entry points. It's for those of you who don't program who are listening to this, that may sound a little, out of this world, but every DLL and every piece of Windows software, any software in fact, has a memory entry point. But the funny part about Windows is most of them don't change.
Absolutely. Well, Shadow, I do appreciate your time. I really do appreciate you being able to expound on some of the questions that I had, especially, being a noob to a lot of this. I'm an old hat in some of it. But we're all noobs. There's always somebody who knows more. Okay, absolutely.
There's always somebody who knows
That's what I love about it. That's what I love about this whole IT community is that the wealth of information, for those that don't hoard, an inordinate amount of information for empire building, but, those that are willing to share, even just some of the, this is how you do it, this is, and then you grow that community so that, the next people are not having to require as much information. I do.
Well, exactly. It's a building process, much like physics. A lot of physics today was built on things that were defined in years ago. So it's a building process over time, and the more that goes on. But the difference between physics is even though we may not know everything about physics, physics is still physics. Quantum physics is still physics. We just simply don't know about it. But it doesn't change. We just have to discover things. The difference with technology and IT is that it's changing every day. Okay, so it's very difficult, to build on the previous things because by the time that you realize, this program has been updated, everything changes. So it's very hard.
Technology, aspects, approach, protocols. I mean, we're now moving potentially from IPv4 to IPv6. So in a lot of enumeration, it changes. We're moving from 32-bit processing to 64-bit. Who knows when we'll push into 128-bit processing?
Well, the next step, of course, is going to be quantum computing. We've already at this point designed quantum encryption, which, by the way, I have a video on YouTube.
Quantum computers are next level. They've already thought beyond what I could think.
Well, they'll be in the next 10 years. We'll have in the next decade quantum computers available for home use.
That's amazing.
That's my prediction, and I think that's a very
I think we'll have that before we'll have jetpacks, and I'm still waiting. I was promised in 2000 to have jetpacks. Still waiting on that, or a flying car somewhere around there. Although I've seen the way people drive, so
there are some flying cars, though. Believe me. I mean, I'm curious to see what kind of FCC regulations are going to be implemented for the drones coming out, let alone flying cars.
Well, yeah. Maybe next time we'll have a thing on aerial-based hacking, and I can ask some questions because there's from.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned. I don't mean to interrupt, but if I don't say something when I think of it, I'll forget it. I'll be like, I should have mentioned that. Aerial-based hacking is funny that you mentioned that because one of our most advanced fighters, one of our most advanced jet fighters, you could read the story if you can find it. They don't like to advertise this, but one of our most advanced jet fighters, the Raptor, had a software bug which didn't allow it to fire its weapons until 2015. Okay, that was a software bug. So you're talking about aerial. I mean, that's a big problem.
That's huge. But that's junk in versus junk out, right? I mean, what you put in versus. I forgot to carry the one on that.
We're talking about engineers. I mean, if you're going to develop the most advanced fighter in the world and you have a software problem. How do I fathom that? How do I compare and contrast that? Well, who's developing this? I mean, we got Skunk Works developing these kinds of things. We've got Lockheed Martin, and these are supposed to be some really, really smart guys.
Absolutely.
And you got a bug like, I mean, what's the problem with running a simulation? You know what I mean? Come on, guys.
I mean, there was a bunch of gray hats, and not to digress too much, there was a bunch of gray hats that had developed a remote-controlled airplane that would scan Wi-Fi and I believe cellular, and crack and grab all that information as it flew over your house. The DOJ sort of had a variation to it, but this all originated from a group of gray hat developers from DEF CON that says we can fly over a house, destroy WPA PSK, WPA2 PSK in 30 seconds by just flying this little plane over and have it hack and slash your network.
Well, I would love to see a WPA or a PSK wireless network be cracked in 30 seconds. I would like to see that.
Well, me too.
And I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I would like to see a story on that, or I would like to see some paper on that, because that would be really interesting. Because
well, you have to remember, we came up from an era where WEP took a couple of hours, and now with Wi-Fi or Kismet or a variation of those two, you can crack a network in 10 minutes.
Kismet just captures them. I mean, I think that you're talking about AirCrack-NG that actually cracks.
Well, yeah, okay. So you can use So you can use Wi-Fi, which runs a capture piece of it, and then you can use either ARP replay attacks or CHOP attack or fake authentication, and then just gather all that and then use those pieces to reassemble it.
But you'll notice too that there was a flaw, and I think the WPA, not WPA2, but WPA, that actually gave part of the key.
Right, absolutely. That's why they moved to WPA2, which is because in those authentication or requests information, part of that flaw was we're going to send this information, and all you have to do is be able to assemble it back together and potentially break it down. And it's possible. WPA2, I haven't been able to sit in front of a target long enough to know if I'm able to crack it.
Well, I can fulfill that for you. I've sat with I have a complete network. Not just the computers that I sit in front of, but I have a network in DC, and I have probably 30 servers altogether that I could that I use, that I host all kinds of things and do testing and whatnot. But I can tell you, I have almost a 30 terabyte library now for WPA2. Now, I can try. And that brings me to another thing, too, because I really wanted to talk about NVIDIA GPU cracking hashes, too. I think maybe I'll get to that later in the show. But as far as I can do it with my network, I can do probably maybe 50 to 60,000 guesses per second. Maybe that's not much. Maybe it is. Who knows? Depending on some of the supercomputers. But
yeah,
I can do 60,000 guesses per second. I mean, you can multiply that by the hour, and it increases exponentially. But But it is the longer the WPA, it gets difficult. You know what I mean? You just have to build up your list. And eventually.
No, absolutely.
Eventually, I write the Perl script. I don't have time. I don't want to say I don't have time, but I don't have. Actually, I don't. I don't have enough time to generate.
Absolutely.
I want to have a 16. I want to have a 16. Actually, I want to have a 20. Well, maybe not 20. Maybe 25, 8, 16. Maybe a 24 length library or dictionary here that iterates through every character and every. You know what I mean? That's what That's what I want to get to. I mean, and I'm at 30 terabytes now for my own library.
That's insane.
Well, that's what I want to do. If I have that out there, but now we're talking about, computational processing power, so it wouldn't even be feasible for anyone at home to even download it. I mean, it would take, first of all, you wouldn't have enough space to do it. You wouldn't even have enough space to download it, especially with
then again, that's, I guess, where zombies come in, and then you do distributed computational processing to where you're...
Well, exactly. You basically build your own zombie supercomputers. The parallel processing, and that's where a lot of people build these projects, where you sign up, and when your computers aren't being used by you, they can be used by
Noah takes over, or, SETI takes over and says,
sure,
hey,
exactly.
we want to borrow part of your processor.
That's exactly what I was thinking of, SETI.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Shadow, I do appreciate your time. I know, all of our time is precious, and this, like I said, thank you for taking, my call. It's first time I've ever been on a radio show.
You're the first caller to Shadow Radio. So no one can ever take that belt away from you right now. So you're the first one ever to call into the new Shadow Radio show, so I appreciate that. And what was your name again?
Terror 404.
Terror 404?
Terror 404.
Terror 404. Excellent. Okay, everybody, that was Terror 404 here on Shadow Radio. I'd like to thank him for calling in. Thanks, my friend. Make sure you catch the show.
Thank you so much. Talk to you later.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
That was a really great call with some really interesting topics that we're going to talk about. So the next thing we're going to put through is one of those funny crank calls. This is one of my favorite prank calls of all time. I think we'll get a kick out of it. Let's have a listen.
Hello?
I have just one question for you. Are you ready?
Am I ready for what? Who's this?
Are you ready for this Sunday night when WWE Champ John Cena defends his title in the WWE Super Slam? Right now you can order this awesome pay-per-view event for just $59.99.
I'm sorry, no, there is not any chance in hell that we're ever going to have wrestling in this house again. But thank you, but no. Have a good day. Hello?
And goodbye to anyone standing in John Cena's way when he takes on 6 men in a steel cage shoots and ladders match at WWE Super Slam. Order now and save $10 with a low price of just $49.99.
Sir, you guys just called me, and as I mentioned before, we're not ordering this, so please stop calling my house. Thank you and goodbye. Hello?
Hi, can I speak to Champ?
Who?
Champ? Is Champ there?
Who is Champ?
That question will be answered this Sunday night! Cena defends the belt at WWE Super Slam!
Hey, sir!
Taking on
Please
Sheamus,
quit calling my house!
The Undertaker,
Quit calling me!
CM Punk, and even Triple H and the Big Show in a spit-swapping makeout match!
Holy
WWE
hell.
Super
Listen!
Slam!
Hello? Hello? Can you stop screaming in your little sirens and whatever that is? Can you knock it off for 5 seconds? Not interested. Stop calling my fucking house. Hello?
I'm watching you.
Excuse me?
That's exactly what The Undertaker told John Cena! But will he be able to take the belt from the mightiest champion in WWE history at this weekend's WWE Super Slam?
Already. Stop calling my house before I get your number. I will track you down and absolutely tear you to pieces. Do you understand me? I know you are, John Cena, crazy motherfucker. Stop calling my house now. No wrestling, no super motherfucking slam is happening in this house. I swear to Jesus, if this is those wrestling again.
Okay, good morning. Hi, I'm just calling this morning to ask if you're a supporter of the United States military.
Oh, my God, I apologize. We've been getting calls all morning. I apologize, and yes.
Fantastic.
Yes, I am.
Great. Are you a supporter of the Marine Corps?
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Great, because a former decorated member of the United States Marine Corps needs your support.
And his name is John Cena! He's gonna get in the ring and put boots to asses this
Are you
weekend!
kidding me right now?
WWE
Are you kidding me right now? I can't even handle this. I cannot handle this.
Available right now at a low price of only $39.99.
I can't believe you're still calling me. I'm about to lose my shit. I swear I'm about to call the police.
Hello. You have a collect call from
John Cena!
Will you accept the charges?
Oh, f*** your mother. Listen, stop calling. Is listening not your strong suit? I'm pretty sure it is, but you're not hearing me. Shut your beaten down brain from Super Slam and listen. I am not interested. I don't care if they're $59, $49, $39, or 39 cents. I don't want it. It won't happen. It's not coming on my TV again. It won't be allowed in this house. You understand me? No, I don't want to be wrestling here in this house. Not a piece. I'm going through closets and taking out T-shirts and burning them and calling the police and telling you that you're harassing me. Stop it now. And I am calling the police. Good luck to you. Have a nice day. Yourself.
I don't know why, but for some reason I fall over laughing every time I hear that crank call. So that was really awesome. So let's switch gears here for a minute then. And we had a submission by one of our friends from information security here, talking about TCP/IP and whatnot, protocols and security. So why don't we give him a chance to take the floor here and see what he has to say. This is Chris Cook here, talking about information security under the networking app.
Hello everyone, my name's Chris Cook. I'm a network and security specialist from the UK. This is my first time speaking on Shadow Radio, so you'll have to bear with me, as I'll likely screw up at some point. I just want to say thanks to Shadow for letting me on the show. It's a privilege. Today, I'm going to be talking about the vulnerabilities within IPv4. I've laid this out in 3 stages. So firstly, we're going to have a little refresher on the protocols and services. Secondly, I'll go into the vulnerabilities and what they do. And lastly, I'll explain some steps you can take with Cisco equipment to mitigate and defend against these vulnerabilities. Okay, so here's a bunch of protocols we all work with on a daily basis. We've got DHCP, a Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. This is responsible for distributing IP addresses automatically within a network. Next one, Address Resolution Protocol. This maps a layer 3 IPv4 address to a layer 2 MAC address. Next we have DNS, Domain Name System. This maps host names to IPv4 addresses. Whenever you type in a URL, it will resolve that text string to a specific IP address or web server somewhere out on the internet, or it could be internal. Then we have FTP, File Transfer Protocol, and TFTP, Trivial File Transfer Protocol, both of which assist in moving files across a network. Next we have HTTP and HTTPS. These are used for browsing. Pretty sure everyone's used them. HTTP is open text and HTTPS is encrypted, of course. Finally, I want to mention Telnet and SSH. These are protocols that allow you remote terminal access to a networked device. Telnet is clear text, SSH is encrypted. So these protocols and services I've just mentioned, they can be a point of vulnerability within your network if they aren't set up correctly. So before I go into the vulnerabilities, I need to quickly mention TCP, UDP and ICMP. So ICMP is Internet Control Message Protocol. Associated with this is ping and traceroute. So traceroute uses various TTL settings. TTL stands for time to live, to establish a path's reachability in a network. Then we've got ping, which sends out you can get an echo request and reply from a device on a network if it's got an IP address. Then we've got UDP, which is very low overhead. Once a packet's sent, UDP no longer cares. This works mostly with the applications at the destination point, so all the structuring of data is assumed it's going to be handled by the software. Also, UDP doesn't guarantee that you'll receive the packet once either. Next, TCP is considered the more reliable option over UDP. It has an element of error correction as it can sequence the data, and it can also re-request data if something's not there. So yeah, that covers the intro. I hope you guys find that useful. It's just basic networking really, but now we're going to look into the vulnerabilities associated with these protocols. First one would be IPv4 address spoofing. So just as with layer 2 MAC addresses, IPv4 addresses can be spoofed too. So when your router's out on the internet, if you look at the logs, you'll see a lot of packets hitting it from private addresses, from the RFC 1819 range, and of course these can't be routed, so they're useless. Another one is rogue DHCP servers. It is primarily an internal problem, so once a attacker's inside your network, they could set up a DHCP server and start dishing out IP addresses. Another one to mention is ARP, Address Resolution Protocol. This can be misused with man-in-the-middle attacks, so you can intercept data. Another one is ICMP flooding. I think it was also known as ping of death. Previous versions of Windows would blue screen when they encountered a packet that was so big it didn't know how to handle it. It shut down instantly. But I believe that's been patched. So another one is TCP issues. All the wonderful features of TCP, its reliability and whatnot. It's also been used for denial of service attacks. So what an attacker would do is establish, send a load of half-open TCP connections, which would eventually fill up your destination's memory. So it would sit there waiting for a response. Eventually it would stop responding to genuine traffic that was trying to hit that device. Another problem with TCP is session hijacking, so you can jump on a session that's already established. Okay, so those are just a brief explanation of the vulnerabilities within IPv4. So let's have a look at the steps we can take with Cisco equipment to defend against these and stop them from being a problem when you're looking after a network. Right, so one of the vulnerabilities I talked about was IPv4 address spoofing, and Cisco's solution for this one is unicast reverse path forwarding. This is a feature that can be configured on your router to inspect packets to see if they are spoofed or not. It checks to see whether that packet left the network and when it's expected to come back in. Another problem I mentioned was rogue DHCP servers. So the solution to this one is DHCP snooping, which can be this can be configured on your switches with VLAN security to prevent these types of servers from acting inside your network. Another one I mentioned was the problems with ARP, Address Resolution Protocol. Cisco's solution for this one is DAI, which is Dynamic ARP Inspection. This can also be configured on your switches to prevent man-in-the-middle attacks, which is handy. Another one I mentioned was the problems with TCP, and this feature is called TCP Interceptor. So this can be configured to stop DDoS attacks, and so it can stop your memory buffer from reaching a critical level and stopping your device from working. Another one on a similar par is rate limiting for ICMP, which is a form of quality of service. You can use this to limit and filter the amount of ICMP packets your devices handle. So yeah, these are some of the features Cisco offers to circumvent the issues with IPv4. Yeah, that pretty much wraps up my little talk about the problems with IPv4. I just want to say thanks for having me on the show. If you've got any questions about networking or Cisco, you can find me on Google+. It's Chris Cook, somewhere in the information security, somewhere around there. So if you need any help, just hit me up. I'm always happy to help. It's a two-way learning process always, so one of the things I try to always do, if anyone's got a problem, I'll always help. So thanks for having me on the show. Bye.
That was Chris Cook, everyone. Give him a hand, he's British. The next thing that I want to tell you guys about is, don't forget that you can submit your own audio recordings and be on Shadow Radio at any time. If you want to talk about a topic, or if you want to talk about some kind of security risk, anything that has to do with IT or a humorous situation that has to do with IT, you're more than welcome. But tech support's probably one of the most difficult things to do when it comes to the IT industry, and here's why.
Dell Hardware Warranty Support. My name is. How can I help you?
Well, my mom got one. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm having a problem. How about now? I got my phone on. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. You're breaking up a little bit, but.
Oh, great. All right. Well, what I got is my mom's laptop here, and it won't turn off.
It won't turn off?
No.
Okay.
Since last week, Windows is down. Cannot turn it off. Tried to turn off the power, everything. It won't turn off.
All right. Can I get the service tag?
Jesus Christ, I just gave it to you people. All right. Express service code is 49. You got it?
I couldn't hear you very well. You're yelling very loud. 49, is that right?
Yeah, it's close enough. All I need to know is how do you turn this goddamn thing off? You know, your automated crap sucks, all right? And I think you suck, all right? Jesus Christ, how do you turn this fucking thing off? You understand that?
All right, well, I will just need to actually see what system you have here. So I'm showing that you... Can I get the name on the account?
It's...
All right, and the phone number is purchased at?
Why do you need all this? All I need to know is how do you turn the thing off?
I need to verify the owner of the system, sir.
Oh, Jesus Christ. The number is 72.
All right. And can I get your name?
My name is...
And your last name?
I'm her son. God damn you. Fucking goddamn people, I swear to God.
And your phone number?
My phone number is the same.
Okay. And your email address?
Why do you need that? You know you're upsetting the fuck out of me, all right? You fucking goddamn asshole. Look, goddamn it, the fucking thing will not shut off. You understand that? Since last night, and you got a goddamn battery problem as well, all right? What the hell the fuck's going on with this goddamn thing? I am getting very upset about this. You know, I've spent about an hour trying to talk to you people on this freaking automated crap you got, and that's what's got me all fucking upset like this, all right? And if you didn't have all this automated crap on your goddamn phone system, then somebody would talk to a human. Do you know what a human is?
Yes, sir, I do. And I will...
You keep acting like a goddamn computer and keep asking me for these stupid questions when all I need to know is how do you shut this thing down? It says Windows is shutting down. It's been saying that since last night, all right? Now, how come it won't shut down, and how come I can't shut it down? What do I got to do, rip the damn battery out of the back of it?
No, you definitely don't want to do that.
Well, what do I got to do? Will you please tell me?
Yes. All I need... So, do you not have an email address? That's all I need from you. Do you not have an email address?
I'm not going to give it to you, all right? Let's put it that way, all right? Because I have nothing to do with this goddamn computer. All I want to know is how do you shut it down before it causes a goddamn fucking fire? Will you fucking tell me?
All right. So, to shut the system off, you see the power button on it?
I've been pushing it for the past 3 fucking hours. It don't fucking do nothing.
Okay. Hold down the power button for 10 seconds right now.
Well, Jesus Christ, you could have told me that. You know, you are not very freaking helpful. You know that? You're fucking assholes. And you could put...
So there you go, a tech support call. I think you guys pretty much can understand and enjoy that. So who wants to work in tech support after hearing that? Anyway, We all know that that's possible, but you have to look at it from also the reverse side of it. A lot of these people really don't understand technology, and it comes second nature to most of us and some of us. But for some people who didn't grow up with that kind of stuff, we have, give them a pass. Give them a get out of jail free card, because it's hard for them sometimes, and especially how frustrating it is, for people like this who just simply don't understand. And that's the point I wanted to make too, because that's how a lot of the population is today. So it's up to us to educate those people and try to help them along as technology changes. So at this point, let's go ahead and move on to some of your questions. We're at 1 hour and 9 minutes right now for the show, so that's pretty good for the 6th show here. We got some good content in it. So first, the watcher has, does the NSA deserve punishment for what they're doing? Well, if you're going to be subject to the laws and the Constitution, I think that, I think they should be punished for what they're doing, when they're breaking the laws, that everyone else has to follow, and they're supposed to be, government employees with all this power. They should be following the laws, but how often do we see that happening? We never see, government officials all the time. Every other day you hear something about people being corrupt, or, government officials being corrupt. When it comes down to it, they're just people. So, I do think the NSA should have to pay for what they're doing, simple fact, Sam Smith asks, have you ever discovered a 0 day? And if you would you sell it to the government? Yes, I've discovered a 0 day, and I would never sell it to anyone. And eventually, sooner or later, somebody else is going to find it too, and which they already have, and sold it. But I'm not that person. I'm not that person to sell these things to the government. So I wouldn't sell them to anybody. I do what I do for me. I do it because I enjoy learning, and I enjoy the relief when I finally finish a project and can say to myself, I put in all this time, and look at my accomplishments. Next we have Matt Williams. What license are my radio shows released under? My radio shows are free to distribute to anyone, so you guys can share these with your friends, send them out, do whatever you want to them, but don't edit them. I ask that you don't take out or edit them. So you can't edit them, but you can share them and give them away to anyone you want to, okay? Michael Dunke Jacobs asks, my thoughts on the legitimacy of Pastebin. Well, I don't really understand what you mean about the legitimacy of Pastebin. I mean, you're simply pasting information onto a site that makes it public. What do you mean legitimacy? I think you have to define that a little bit better the next time that you talk to me, because Pastebin's a great resource. It helps people paste code, and it's a universal place that everybody uses. So I don't really know what you mean by that. Ryan O'Donnell says that his brother bought a smartwatch, and I told him to find a good firewall and antivirus software. Am I wrong? Well, it depends what it's running, Ryan. If it's running some Android or something, you want to get some malware or something. You know what I mean? Any device that you're going to have is, we forget that the smaller the devices get, they are computers. We kind of forget that sometimes. But when when everything's said and done, these things are computers, our tablets, and now it's going to be our watches. So, we have to use the same, practical antivirus, and precautions the same way that we would with our desktops. They're simply just, small computers. Julian Lenave, I think that's his name. What do I think about the Apple Watch? How about Apple in general? Well, I'm not a big fan of Apple. I don't like Apple. I think it's overpriced junk. It's not to say that it doesn't run well, but I don't like Apple. I simply don't like the whole mantra, the whole we're better than everyone else, snooty kind of. I just don't like Apple. Every time that you get an Apple product, you always have to give up something. You always have to give up some kind of information, a credit card. Even to get past certain things in the system, you have to. I can remember when I got, a free iPhone just to try it out, and that didn't last very long. I switched to a junk phone after that because I can't stand Apple. Every time that I want to do something or I want to get a free application from the App Store or something, I got to put in my credit card, just to get a free thing. And there's certain locks, and maybe that changed, I don't know, but it's just never been something that I enjoyed. I just never liked Mac. I never liked the fact that it's built on, open source, and they're selling it, because it's really what it is. It's a derivative of Linux, a variant. So, using the Darwin kernel. So, that's why another reason why I don't like it. They're trying to sell it. Well, they've been selling it and made them, trillionaires. So, käⱧ the last question here is: do tools like VPNs and the Tor browser really protect your privacy? And how much trust should we place in the people and the companies running these services? Well, you know what they say, VPNs or security is only good as the people who are running it. So if you have for the most part, you can trust VPNs. I wouldn't say trust free VPNs. If you're going to get a company VPN, you always risk. Whenever you send out data on the internet, you have to send it out under the assumption that it's going to be read anyway. That's just rule number one, the golden rule. So if you don't want somebody to read something, or you want to put some information out on the internet that you don't want somebody to get, you can't work that way. You can't assume or take it for granted that your information is always going to be safe. Okay? Can you trust VPNs? Yeah, they're going to be broken sooner or later. Tor browser, is it really privacy? Yeah, I think Tor is pretty private, but when it's infiltrated by government agencies, it becomes less private, and every day our privacy is being eroded on the internet. So it comes to the point where, like, what I do is I write my own ciphers. I don't want to trust anyone else's information to scramble my data. The only person that you can really trust in this entire universe is yourself. That you can really, really trust. So it's a hard thing to to grasp, but that's the nature of things. So what I want to do next is maybe we should play another prank call here. So we're going to try to give the show about an hour and a half. So this would be one of the mega shows. So we'll do a nice prank call here. We called Lowe's. Lowe's is a home improvement store. So we're going to go ahead and play that for you and try to get you some laughs. So let me know what you guys think here.
Thank you, Department.
Yeah, hi. I bought some caulk today to fill a hole behind my sink. It's my first time doing any DIY kind of stuff, so can you help me with this? I don't know how much black caulk to put on, or to put in the crack, basically. So can you help me?
Well, behind the what now?
Okay, there's this big crack behind the sink, and I want to know how much caulk I have to put in there.
Well, how wide is it?
It's a pretty wide. It's a pretty wide caulk. Or sorry, it's a pretty wide crack. So I need quite a bit of caulk. But I'm, is there some sort of I don't know, how do I work out how much I should put in there? How deep should I put in the caulk into the crack?
Well, if you're talking about this pretty wide crack and all that, then you're gonna have to buy a caulking tube.
Oh no, yeah, no. I got all the caulk gear. But I just need to know how deep I put it in the crack.
Well,
and
it's pretty wide.
Oh, it's really wide. But I got black caulk. If that makes a difference, does it go deeper or something?
I don't know about the black, but when you're putting caulking around a crack or something like that, if it's wider than a quarter of an inch,
yeah,
you're gonna have to put some backing on it.
Oh, really? What kind of, so...
Yeah,
how deep
the caulking... Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
No, yeah, well, I really have no idea about any of this. So, how deep do I put in the... What did you say I have to put in first into the crack?
You have to, if it's larger than a quarter of an inch,
yeah,
the gap or the crack,
then you're
going to have to...
It's wide.
How wide?
I don't, I'd say it's about, it's about a quarter inch, like you said. Yeah, it's a little bit over a quarter inch.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put something in the backing on it. So because if you try to fill in the gap with a whole bunch of caulking, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
It's going to collapse on you and it's going to crack.
Can I not just like stick the caulk into the crack and kind of, you know, like will anything bad happen if I don't do it right? Like if I just jam it in?
Well, it's going to sink in, it's going to shrink and sink in, cave in, and everything else.
Shrink? Wait, why does it shrink? That's like, so is there a way to get more work for my money? Like, can I do this?
Because it's too wide of a gap.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what kind of thing what kind of backing should I put into this crack?
I'm trying to figure out the name of that.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
No, it's fine.
It's almost like a little snake that you have to put in there.
Yeah, so like a little. Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. You put the snake in the crack. Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to figure the name of it. Anyway, that's what you want to put in there first.
Okay.
And then put your caulking over it.
Oh, so wait, the snake kind of it's like you put it inside the snake, kind of, you know.
Well, you fill in like with a.
Yeah, like you put the snake into the crack, and then you put the caulk into the snake, yeah?
Over the snake.
Over this, oh. Whoa, okay, yeah, okay. So you know, like this tube is like the size of my arm, you know, like about the size of my forearm. So how much of it should I put in? Like, do I fill it up the whole way, like in the crack, or is there a certain amount I should put it in, or should I pull it out, or?
Well, I mean, when you put that little snake in there, then you're not going to take very much of it. You're not going to use very much of it.
But
you just fill in to where you think it's enough.
So, like, how many, like, you know, the hole goes, like, pretty much the whole way down, but I don't need to fill the whole back of my sink. I just need to make it so it's watertight, basically. So, like,
right.
Yeah, how many inches should I use of this caulk?
Well, shoot, about
like
not
7?
more than a quarter of an inch deep.
I thought I was getting ready to use 7 inches of caulk. Okay.
No, because you're, I'm trying to remember the name for that. Hold on, okay?
Yeah.
The thing that we have here is called a polyfoam caulking saver.
Okay, so polyform caulk saver, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's about a half an inch in diameter.
Is that thick enough?
Huh?
Is that thick enough for this? 'Cause, you know, I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you can kind of put it in there and tuck it in there.
Okay.
That'll fill in the gap.
Do I have to use my hands to tuck it in, or what? Like, what way does it work?
Well, you're gonna use the caulking gun.
I know, but should I wear any gloves so I can, you know, kind of do it with my own hands?
No.
So I just stick it in and just, you know, push it in. Yeah.
You swing it down with your finger.
So so I need a glove or something for that, you know, just to push it in the rest of the way, you know. Okay, so yeah, is there any kind of like lubricant that I need to use for the snake to put it in the crack?
No.
So
it's just a foam.
So I just kind of like jam it in there, like, you know, because it's foam. It'll have to go quite, you know, hard into the crack.
Yeah, but you don't have to put it all the way in there. Just put it in there.
You just put it in the tip, yeah.
And
you just put it in the tip.
Just put a little, leave a little an area to where you can put your caulking in there.
So, yeah. So I just need to put in the tip, like, you know, enough, just so, you know, the caulk can go in there. Okay. Do I need to like warm up the caulk, or is it okay if it's like cold?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know what you're talking about now. You're throwing me off there.
No, I've just heard all these. See, I've been looking on the internet for how to do this, but I just finally said that I need to contact an expert like yourself on, you know, putting the caulk into the cracks behind there, you know.
But you mentioned it was a black?
Yeah, I got a black caulk. Someone said that, you know, it comes out thicker out of the tube. You know, it's like a thicker caulk when it goes into the crack. Because everyone's been saying that black is better, and you know, I don't know. It was someone in your store actually, who said that the black one was definitely better. Yeah, she was a female. She was like, I don't know. I don't even really need to describe her, but yeah. So like.
Well, when you say black.
Yeah, it's like black in color. Like I cut off the tip of it, and I was just ready to put it in the crack, and yeah. Actually, the woman who.
Well, when you say black, to me black would be like they gave you some of the roofing tar.
No, it's definitely caulk. I know a caulk when I see one.
Okay. Okay. Well, then it's silicone, right?
I haven't felt it with my hands. You said earlier that I shouldn't do that.
No,
I felt the caulk. Yeah, I felt the caulk.
Caulking tube, does it say silicone, 100% silicone?
Yeah, it does. It says.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was able to feel the caulk, and it said, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just put it on there and smooth it down, and if you want to use some gloves, smooth it down with your finger.
Yeah. So I can basically just will I jam my finger in the crack first, just kind of get out some of the dirt that's in there?
Not really, no. I mean, because your snake is going to be in there.
Oh, so the snake kind of clears it out. It's a pretty dirty crack because it's like behind my sink, It's like a really good crack. But will any of the dirt kind of interfere with the caulk that goes in?
Yeah.
Oh, so I should jam it out first with the snake. I'll just put the snake in the crack and it'll get rid of it. Or at least should do that.
Right.
Right. Okay, was the lady who sold me this black caulk actually just trying to make me buy the more expensive one? Because it was more expensive than the one beside it, but she said that the black one was way better.
I don't know about that part, but if it's trying to match up with black...
She said that black was always better.
Oh.
She said...
to me, I don't think... Color doesn't color doesn't make any better than the other.
But, she said that...
It's just that sometimes people want...
She said that the black one has she said that the black one is bigger than the other one. I think there's a white one and then there's a yellow one, but I think they only sell that in other countries like China. But yeah. So can I return it for a white one? Is there no difference between black, or should I go with the big black one and just use it for my crack? Because there was a $5 difference between them, so it would be quite a good save.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes they're looking for a black because they want black caulking, so...
Yeah.
And then there's white and then there's clear, but it all depends on what you're going to be doing, what you want, what kind of look you want.
What kind of caulk do you prefer? Do you like a good black one or a white one, or... I hear that...
I have never used a black one. I have all the white and clear.
So, wait, you've never had black caulk?
I have never used a black caulking because I have never had the use for it.
Oh, so what is the use for black caulks? Is it just plugging big cracks, or is it what?
No. That's just to match up with whatever you have around. If you got a black sink, or you got black tile, or you got black caulking grout, or something like that.
Okay, so it doesn't the color behind the sink doesn't really matter because no one's going to be looking there. So can I bring back the black caulk and just get a nice white caulk?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Does it matter that I've been touching the black caulk already, or there was a little tag on it that I kind of ripped off the side, but does that really matter? I have the receipt.
Well, if you already open it, they won't turn it. They won't get.
No, I didn't
back.
actually open it, but my fingerprints are on the caulk. That kind of I didn't do that. Yeah.
I don't think that doesn't matter. No, you can return it back as long as it's not open.
Okay. So yeah, thank you for your help, sir. You've been really helpful for me.
Okay.
I'm gonna just jam the.
All right.
I don't think I'm even gonna come back. I'll just jam the caulk in the crack. Anyway, thank you.
Wow. All I can say is wow on that one. Well, I hope you got a kick out of that one. I know I sure did. Maybe we should do one more. Maybe not. Maybe we'll save it for next time. But we're already in an hour and a half. That's pretty big for this show, so that's wonderful. Please keep your posts coming and your questions, and if you want to be on the show, please send me a recording. Let me know. Talk to me on Google+, whatever. And everybody, please read the About the Community section, too, when you come in here and start asking the same questions. Everything's there. The passwords for the library, everything in my Google Plus drive's there for you. So all that information's there, and I hear that music for the ending coming up here. So we're going to have to knock off here about an hour and 30 minutes. So thanks, and I hope you enjoyed the show. And this is Shadow Radio signing out. We'll see you next time.